Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hello, and bonjour, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing, everybody? I know it's been quite a while since last time, and yes, once again, I had to go and skip another week because, well, let's just say the week prior, it wasn't all that great in terms of getting a good amount of animation news, which, by the way, thank you, Jay Monty, for starting this off by being a new fish so far. And, yeah, honestly, I know that, I did do that again, but technically, I didn't skip a stream, considering that last week I did go and initiate a new AniMat Plays where I would go and play Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. And I'm only getting started, by the way. I promise you that about every week I will go and actually do a live stream where I will continue playing Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. In fact, for this week, mark your calendars in case you want to go and join. You could come back on my Twitch channel, so you could come and watch me play more of it, where I'll go and keep on progressing the hero story, and maybe I'll even get into the dark story afterwards. I mean, we'll see how good is my gameplay. We'll see how good is the progression from there. But anyways, during that time, though, thankfully, there have been more animation news that did come out and a lot of fun discussions that we will be having here in this episode. So I really do hope you are all going to be prepared for this. But before I go and continue, by the way, there is one thing that I do want to go and give out a shout out to, and this is actually for an event for anybody who is going to be in the Los Angeles area this weekend. And this is with an organization that I have collaborated with before, and this is with Autism and Entertainment, considering that they are going to be doing a fundraiser at the Laugh Factory. Not only that, but also there's going to be a bunch of guests there, and it's going to be an all-around good time with a whole bunch of comedy. And if you want to get a little bit more info about it, I'll just go and read you here from my excerpt on Animation Magazine, whom just today I actually discovered they actually did write a whole article about it, which is nice, in which it is stated here, headlining the comedy showcase are stand-up talents Willie Hunter, Josh Merowitz, Nick Novicki, Alex Payne, and Jeremiah Watkins, as well as reality show fan favorite Danny Bowman. Known for her 3+ season series regular status on Netflix's Emmy Award-winning Love on the Spectrum, and acclaimed work as an animator with her own studio and school, Danimation, an official AIE educational partner, reprising her recent Laugh Factory 90s animation trivia spectacular. So if you want to have some good laughs, as well as go and participate in a good fundraiser, which will be for Autism and Entertainment. In case you guys don't know, that is a nonprofit organization that is part of the Orange County Asperger's support group, in which they help out people in the autism spectrum to go and actually develop a career in entertainment, rather it be to be as an actor, to be as an entertainer, to be as a filmmaker, to be as an editor, and so on and so forth. So considering the work that I've done with Autism and Entertainment, I just figured I just want to go and give them a special shout out. And again, if you guys are in the Los Angeles area and you want to go and be a part of the fundraiser, or at least check in to see what's up, then all you have to do is go into the Laugh Factory, in which the fundraiser will be happening on September 7th at 1:30 p.m. All right, so with all that said, and now with all that out of the way, it is now time that I want to go and ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, chat wall. Are you ready? All right, let's see now. Yes, I see people are prepared. Okay. Oh, I already see a lot of hype going on, including some of the stories that we got. All right, so that is beautiful to see. And now, with that said, it is time that we shall go and get things started. And so, with our first story that I have for you today, we are actually going to go and get easy onto this. We're going to go into a trailer, actually. It's a relatively small trailer, and it's not for necessarily a huge project, but rather this is actually going to be for a pilot. But this one, however, is an anticipated pilot, considering that this is going to be the collaboration of two major powerhouses in animation right now, or at least two prominent superstars, along with many others who are participating in this. We got the Owl House creator Dana Terrance, as well as the studio that brought you the amazing digital circus, Glitch Productions. So, without further ado, let us go and begin by checking out the trailer for the upcoming Glitch pilot of Knights of Guinevere. And that is Knights of Guinevere, to which it will be premiering on September 19th. Now, if I recall, I don't think this is the first time that I talked about Knights of Guinevere here in this podcast. If I do recall, I believe I did talk about the teaser trailer that did happen before. And I know some people may say that what we have just witnessed here, well, it does feel a little bit like a teaser trailer, considering that this video itself is not even over 90 seconds long. It's just a quick thing to go and summarize what is going to be in store here. And I'm not gonna lie, this is definitely much different than what we have seen from the previous pilot. Now, one thing that I will say was quite unexpected is that, yeah, I noticed that the chat wall is already mentioning this a little bit, but you could tell that there is a bit of a Disney influence. And what I mean by a Disney influence, I don't necessarily mean by the core of it, like the storytelling, or not even necessarily with the animation, but I mean in terms of the theme with the world building. In a way, we're kind of seeing this dystopian Disney world that is going on, especially with the prominent princess character, not the real princess per se, but with the blue animatronic princess that is prominently featured, who's kind of like the mascot of this theme park in particular. However, with this one, there is this massive, like, I guess you could say in a way, there is this epic Mickey twist to it, where they decided to go and present it as, again, dystopian, but also very dark, very twisted, where there is a little bit of that element of horror. In fact, the best way to go at it is that imagine if you take Epic Mickey with a little bit of that sensibility of Five Nights at Freddy's, like that style of horror that is implemented onto this. And you can actually see it from like a few clips, and especially with the tone that they would go into the trailer. And I mean, with the Disney influence, like, it doesn't hide it. It's obviously right there. And I mean, this is especially when you meet the guy himself, which is obviously a reference to Walt Disney, especially with the mustache. I mean, like, if you want to go and make some kind of Walt Disney-like character, or a Walt Disney, like a Walt Disney-esque type of person that you want to go and implement to your story, you got to go and add in that pencil mustache there. Like, it feels like something that you see again and again. Like, another good example is how Andrew Ryan is kind of like the Walt Disney in the world of BioShock, and he has kind of that similar aesthetic, especially with his ambitions with wanting to build Rapture and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of the same thing right over here, where you see like this guy is the one who is responsible with making the theme park and all these characters. And not to mention, there even is that, like, there's one image where you see the princess character on the side, where she's like next to a seahorse and a fish, and very much like just straightforward has that Disney-esque design. And you see like all around her, it's like the variations of this character, and even like the theme park itself, that is like Disneyland, that really puts in the emphasis of bringing fantasy to life. And then suddenly, immediately afterwards, like you see the horrors that are going on, especially like the princess is like this insane killing animatronic. You see like even the friend, like some of the friends are also going to be like dangerous animatronics there. And you see a lot of the world building that is being developed, where this is not a safe environment for any of these characters that are going to be there. But on top of that, another thing that I do want to go and comment is especially the animation. Now, this is very solid animation, but I gotta say, it is very noticeable when you do see this, how the animation is very reminiscent to anime. Like, this is the American attempt of making that anime style, in a sense, very similar to what we have seen like in recent American animated shows that try to emulate that style, you know, like with Avatar: The Last Airbender being one of the more prominent examples. And nowadays, like, it's becoming more and more common where you see animation or American animation be more like anime, and this one is definitely no different. And I mean, considering that it is from Dana Terrance, of course you would get a lot of that onto the Owl House as well. But with this one, I feel like this one tries more to be like anime, even compared to the Owl House. Like, this one like just goes straightforward, like really trying to go and push for that kind of aesthetic, you know, like trying to, you know, actually, like with the way that it goes, and especially with all the different animatronics, is like the animation, honestly, it reminds me a lot of Ghost in the Shell. Like, to play with these robots and these people interacting with them, and especially how it is more suspenseful and more action oriented. Like, you really do get that vibe going on. Like, especially with some of the cinematography, whenever it tries to present anything that would be action-packed. And I mean, that's not a criticism at all. Like, that's honestly a compliment. If your if your style is reminding me of something like in the veins of Ghost in the Shell, which already that's like peak anime or peak Japanese style animation right there, you're definitely doing something right. So overall, there's not necessarily a whole lot that I could really go and comment right now, especially with a short trailer like this. But I'm not gonna lie, I could definitely see where the hype is coming from, especially when it really does nail that dystopian, suspenseful tone. The world building is very intriguing. Probably the biggest thing that feels like can really grab people, presenting like this Disney-like dystopia, kind of like this epic Mickey-style world building where this childlike fantasy is all corrupted, and like you have these like like these animatronics running amok and like be highly dangerous, and the animation is definitely awesome. So I will say, like, I could see where the hype is coming from, and like, even I'll say, like, this does seem very interesting. I am curious to see how this series is gonna go. Or honestly, I'll just say right now, like, I don't know if it's going to even reach the levels of Amazing Digital Circus in terms of popularity, mainly because, well, like, Amazing Digital Circus is a massive viral sensation. It's going to be hard for any show online whatsoever to try to go and match that level of popularity. But, we'll see how it goes. Even though I question if it'll be Amazing Digital Circus popular, but it wouldn't surprise me if it will be popular in itself. But if you guys are interested in checking out Knights of Guinevere, then keep in mind that the pilot is going to be released on September 19th. All right, so with that said, now it is time I would like to go and pass this on to the chat wall. And I'd like to ask you all, how do you feel about the trailer that we have seen of Knights of Guinevere? Are you guys excited to see how the show is going to be? Are you guys intrigued? Do you have any questions? Or do you guys disagree and you're not really a fan of what you are seeing so far with this particular series? Now, let me know what you guys think. In fact, I'm going to go and put up a poll. I might as well. It feels like it's been a while, so we might as well go and make that kind of comeback. So let me go and ask you all, will you be watching Knights of Guinevere? So let me just go and write down yes, and then I'll just go and write down no, and then let's see what the chat wall is going to say over here. All right, so, oh boy, whoa, we got a whole list of people talking. Okay, so, let's see what we got here. I've been watching Glitch's content ever since seeing the pilot of The Amazing Digital Circus, and yeah, this is going to be good. But knowing the fact that Dana Terrance is involved, she is free to make her vision with her next show without any problems, unlike how Disney treated her other show. Heck, we even had Walt Disney and Disneyland parodies here. Yeah, Knights of Guinevere is basically Dana's revenge, or rather her middle finger, on how Disney treated her previous show with the Owl House. Okay, I don't know if I would say directly if this is something that's like full-on anti-Disney per se, but you could see, you could see like the Disney influences, but I'm not gonna go and immediately say if it is like this is an anti-Disney cartoon or anything like that. That would immediately be. It feels like, the Twitter style jumping to conclusions to that direction. Let's see, what else do we have here? Dana Terrance was already one of my favorite creators of the past decade, but this trailer really showed me what she's capable of when Disney is her target of spite rather than her guardrail. The animation looks gorgeous, the premise is brilliant, and horrific imagery is the stuff of beautiful nightmares. As a lifelong Disney adult, I can't wait to see Dana take a piss out of Disney. This is going to be better. This is going to be a better Shrek 5 than Shrek 5. Okay, well, I guess, did Dana Terrance already confirm if that's like if the series is going after Disney? Actually, like, if it is already confirmed, then like I'll take back the previous comments that I've mentioned. So just want to be sure if that actually is like something that is her intention. Let's see. Okay, but anyways, let's go back to this here. Let's see. As a fan of the works of both Dana Terrance and Glitch Productions, it's really cool to see them try something bold and new. Not only is the tone super creepy and dystopian, but the animation style is really cool, and there's already a pretty cool mystery involved. This is going to make for a real interesting watch, but I want to point something out. The Walt Disney-esque dude, is that Gomez Addams? What? Hold on a sec. I never really thought of that. Let me just go back for a sec. Like, honestly, now that you mention it, yeah, there is. I'm not gonna lie. This does look like a little bit of a combination of like Walt Disney and Gomez Addams a little bit. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. That I actually do see. That I can see like how the comparisons are actually legit here. All right, fair enough. I do understand right there. All right, so. Let's see. On one hand, I do love Dana's work on the Owl House, but on the other hand, considering that this is all themed around Disney, I'm concerned that people are going to be using the show as an excuse to attack Disney, or claiming that because Dana used to work at Disney, people might interpret this as a way for Dana Terrance to vent on her former boss. And Well, I'm just going to go and say that considering how the comments are, or at least some of them, it does sound like it's already feeling that way, that people are already prepared to go and just interpret that already. Let's see now. But again, I want to know if there actually is a confirmation, if that is the case, or if it's just Twitter trolls that are just desperately wanting to hear what they want to hear. Let's see what are the comments to go and read here. Okay. So let's see now. I will say the presentation of Glitch Productions shares looks very the presentation looks very impressive. The animation looks phenomenal. The world building looks grand and beautiful. And the main character looks very lovely. It's great that Dana Terrance is back to work on a main series now that she's with Glitch. Can't wait to watch it when the pilot premieres. And for the love of God, let's hope the toxicity from the animation community doesn't hinder it. Well, I mean, you know how the community is. They'll take any piece of animation and they'll know how to go and make that cringe. So that's unfortunately going to be inevitable because with the animation community, they know how to ruin any piece of animation. I mean, look at throughout the summer and how they've ruined things like K-Pop Demon Hunters, Fix, Elio, and more. Okay, let's see. What else we got here? As someone who loved the Owl House, I was curious to see what Dana Terrance has next in store. So far, I'm liking what I'm seeing. This is also interesting to see this, as this sort of continues the trend of Terrance giving Disney a metaphorical middle finger. Again, another example of that. I didn't think about the BioShock and Epic Mickey comparisons, but that's the best way to describe the vibe that I'm getting. Exactly. Honestly, that's pretty much what I've been seeing so far. It's like you get a little bit of Epic Mickey, you get a little bit of BioShock, and in some cases, you get a little bit of the Addams Family with Walt Disney Gomez Addams here. All right, I think I'm going to go and read one more comment. Oh, crap. I think I forgot. Oh, crap. I am so sorry, people, but I do apologize that I haven't seen the poll. Did you guys catch what the results were, by the way? I just want to go and just double check. Let's see. 88% yes. Okay, so, all right, just wanted to be sure, actually. All right, so, yes, it looks like most of you are indeed interested in checking it out, considering that, yes, according to the poll, 88% of you have voted that, yes, you are going to be checking out the Knights of Guinevere. All right, very fascinating to see. All right, anyways, let's go and read one more comment and see, well, where else can we read here? Let's see, I'll go with... Yeah, I might as well go with this. All right. Can't say much about it since I'm new to the concept, but I am impressed. In fact, I could see how it's like an Epic Mickey themed like series alongside with trying to be like an anime Owl House. No surprise there since the creator is involved. I even see people are saying that it's mainly a hidden slam on Disney with this, but I highly doubt it. Let's not be toxic. Like, it looks pretty great. I might give it a watch when I have the chance. All right, so from what I see here, and well, even though there is no confirmation if this is a slam against Disney, even though like the prominent influence of Disney in the series is definitely there, still though, there seems to be a lot of great enthusiasm that is coming from the that is coming from the series. Like a lot of people are very much anticipated for it. So once again, if you are hyped to go and check out Knights of Guinevere, then keep in mind that the show is going to be coming out, or at least the pilot is going to be released on September 19th. All right, so now with that said, we are going to go on to our first break. And when we come back, we're going to go and discuss about not necessarily a new movie, but a movie that is still relatively fresh. And apparently the same stupid comments are appearing once again about it. And yeah, it's already feeling tiring. So when we come back, we're going to hear about the stupid comments of what Snoop Dogg said. All right, welcome back. Now, on our next story, I'm going to go and talk about a recent animated feature. Not one that is brand new, but still, it's not an old movie either. This one actually came out back in 2022, so somewhere around near the end of the pandemic. It wasn't at the point where people were free from the pandemic, that we were able to finally get out and things could go back to normal, but things were definitely getting better, especially after most people did take the vaccine to fight against COVID. But anyways, back to the movie itself. Well, let's just say this wasn't a liked movie per se, especially when technically it is a complicated spin-off, if you will. And there have been a lot of complaints about it. And unfortunately, while the reviews and the audience reception, I won't say they were great, but they were decent somewhat, it did unfortunately become a box office bomb. And trust me, it's not because of COVID. It's not because of the pandemic or anything like that. It's because of like all these complications and that the word of mouth wasn't necessarily the greatest at the time. But there was one argument against it, one piece of controversy that really stood out about the movie, and it was probably the dumbest discussion, or you know what, not probably, it is the dumbest discussion about the feature, where even the people who hate the movie would say that, no, that has nothing to do with what is wrong with the movie. So from there, you would see a lot of conservatives going crazy about it, but then after time has passed, people would go and move on. People would focus on other things to go and talk about, and well, what happened to the film? Well, it has happened. Now, what I did not expect, however, was that suddenly it would make a comeback because of Snoop Dogg. Yes, Snoop Dogg decided to go and say his piece about the 2022 Pixar feature, Lightyear. And yes, his complaints about it are the same stupid kind that you hear people talking about back in 2022. It's about that same-sex couple. Now, some people would go and say that it's because of the same-sex kiss, but no, in Snoop Dogg's case, it's not necessarily the kiss itself. It's actually in regards to something else. It's more in terms of the factor that it is a same-sex couple existing in an animated feature. Now, this actually occurred mainly because of the fact that he was appearing in an episode of the podcast It's Giving. And there was at one point that he talked about Lightyear because he brought his grandson to go and check it out in theaters back in 2022. And this is what he has to say. And by the way, I just want to go and say right now, I do apologize for the use of foul language, but this is just Snoop Dogg's words, not mine. So I'm just reading what he has to say, just to give you the proper context of it. So he says right here, reading from my source on Entertainment Weekly, they're like, she had a baby with another woman. Well, my grandson in the middle of the movie is like, Papa Snoop, how's she have a baby with a woman? She's a woman. Snoop recalled thinking, oh shit, I didn't come in for this shit. I just came to watch the goddamn movie. But his grandson pressed on and asked, they just said she and she had a baby. They're both women. How does she have a baby? The rapper reflected that the experience fucked me up. I'm like scared to go to the movies. Y'all throwing me in the middle of shit that I don't have an answer for. So basically, he and his little grandson was watching Lightyear, and the grandson was asking questions, not necessarily understanding how the characters Alicia and Kiko Hawthorne actually end up having a kid in Lightyear. So somehow that seems to like not necessarily comprehend the kid's mind. Like the kid was just asking questions, and Snoop was terrified in that scenario because he didn't know how to go and answer him in that situation. So of course, as you could probably imagine, there was a lot of backlash, not necessarily to Lightyear, but this time to the comments of Snoop Dogg. In fact, the person who is said to be responsible for the same-sex couple in Lightyear, specifically screenwriter Lauren Gunderson, actually stepped in to actually comment about the matter, and she actually made a post on her social media, specifically on Instagram, in which I will go and read you right here. So, I created the Lightyear Lesbians. In 2018, I was a writer at Pixar. Such a cool place. Grateful to work there. Learned a ton from kind and impressive creatives. As we wrote early versions of what became Lightyear, a key character needed a partner, and it was so natural to write she instead of he. As small as that detail is in the film, I knew the representational effect it could have. Small line, big deal. I was elated that they kept it. I am proud of it. To infinity, love is love. Woo, excuse me. Woo, boy. Okay, there we go. Just some gas that wanted to go and leave. But anyways, yes, love is love. So that was her response, and she pretty much completely owned up to the fact that she did this, that she was the one who actually, put out the fact that there was indeed a lesbian couple in Lightyear. And one thing that I do want to go and immediately state, because there was a recent turn of events, or at least I thought it was a turn of events, was the fact that Snoop Dogg allegedly stepped back from his comments, in which he actually did go and put out a post where he apologized about that matter, in which he says, reading from my source here on Deadline, it states, I was just caught off guard and had no answer for my grandsons. All my gay friends know what's up. They've been calling me with love. My bad for not knowing the answer for a 6-year-old. Teach me how to learn. I'm not perfect. However, the catch of what I just said is allegedly, because apparently, according to the representatives of Snoop Dogg, he did not actually say that. In a way, they backed away from that apology, in which it states right here, continuing forward, despite being posted from Snoop's verified Instagram account, a legal rep asserts to Deadline that neither the hip-hop artist or anyone from his team wrote the comment. It is a fake, says a rep from Snoop Dogg. So no, apparently Snoop Dogg didn't actually say that he apologized for his comments on Lightyear, and now he is pretty much a laughingstock just for the fact that he said that he is scared of Lightyear. He is scared of the fact that now there is a lot of LGBTQ plus representation in animation and kids media now. Now, the first thing that I just want to go and have this out of the way, and I just need to go and comment, it's just, really? We're back at this again? We're still doing that same stupid song and dance number about Lightyear and the same-sex couple existing in there? Like, we're still trying to go and make that an issue? I mean, like I said before, Lightyear, as I am recording this, is over 3 years old. Like, you can't just update the formula. You can't find anything else to go and comment. I mean, I enjoyed Lightyear myself, and even I know that there are plenty of other things that you could go and criticize about it and say that there is a problem, especially that weird plot twist villain. I mean, it's basically the same thing like what the Lego Movie 2 did with Rex Dangervest, but it's still as convoluted and confusing as it was in that film. So, like, there are many other things that you could go and comment, but are you still going back into that same-sex couple thing? And not to mention, like, if you want to go and try to update that formula or update that complaint, like, why don't you go and say, like, any other animated film that recently had LGBTQ plus representation? Like, like, you couldn't just say that about, like, Strange World or Nimona or maybe a little bit of, like, The Mitchells versus the Machines, even though that thing is, like, almost unnoticeable. Like, you can't just, like, switch it up a bit. No, you gotta recycle that same old stupid comment that conservatives have done back in 2022. You still gotta go and do that again. And by the way, I almost forgot about this, but to go and give you context about that same-sex couple thing going on in Lightyear, just to go and give you more of an understanding of, like, how it actually is in the movie, the only time that it was actually prominent, it was in the first act, or specifically near the end of the first act. Because around the beginning of the movie, Buzz Lightyear and Star Command, they were trying to go and test out these crystals that would allow their ship to go into hyperspeed. And Buzz really wanted to go and try to test that out. So he was the first to immediately go and do so. And by doing that test, what feels like 4 minutes for him actually ended up becoming 4 years. So you can imagine there is so much time that has passed. So from there, yes, it was quite a shock for the for Star Command, but it was also a shock for his best friend, Alicia Hawthorne. And where the factor of the same-sex couple appears is the fact that during that scene, or throughout that scene, you then go into an entire montage where Buzz is just so determined to try to go and keep at it to make the crystals work and actually go into hyperspeed with no consequence. And even though he would do that, every time he goes into hyperspeed, it would always be like 4 years later and 4 years later and 4 years later. And throughout that time, every time he revisits after every attempt, he would see like so much time would go and pass, and he would see the life of his best friend Alicia like completely go without him, where she would fall in love, she would get married, she would have a kid, she would have anniversaries, she would have like all these milestones going on, but Buzz would ultimately miss out on all that because he was just so determined to try to make the test work, to make those crystals work in his favor, to go on hyperspeed without losing so much passage of time. But he ended up doing way too much of it to the point that he missed out on his best friend's life. And I just want to go and say, like, say what you will about Lightyear, but in my opinion, I think that's like the best scene of the movie. That's honestly the best moment of the entire feature, where they really worked out not just like with the animation showing like the passage of time, and also like with Buzz trying to do the mission to go into hyperspeed and all that stuff. But there is something that's like very heartbreaking to see, like just a life all around Buzz just go without him. That for him, time is just standing still, but everyone is going through their life and just basically living like basically have accepted that they're just going to be living life without Buzz, where they would only periodically see him once every 4 years. It's a very well done scene. And even though, yes, I do agree, like the movie kind of goes a little bit downhill from there, I applaud them for doing so. And even though, like, yes, there was the LGBTQ plus representation with Alicia getting into a relationship with another woman, still, though, it is still like a subtle aspect. And I mean, it's not necessarily a big deal. It's not something that they have to justify, like, why does it have to be a woman that she has to go out with and be married to and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's honestly a very sweet it's honestly like a very sweet thing that, like, yeah, it's a nice little piece of representation. And yeah, they're gay, but I mean, that's just life. There's gay people all around us. There's no need to have a justification of the fact that there is an LGBTQ plus couple right there. So that's why I just want to go and express my thoughts and just go and like give you the context of what that scene is. So yeah, you can imagine that with Snoop Dogg, like when he would go and see that moment, like obviously he doesn't really know what to go and say. And that right there, like the reaction that he has, that is textbook homophobia right there. Like that is literally the definition of homophobia, that you're just scared to see a same-sex couple because you don't know how to react. You don't know what to do. And honestly, what he has displayed, it's honestly also a very prominent example of how homophobia can make you a bad parent. Because I'm not going to go and I'm not going to scold the kid for asking those questions. I mean, the kid is a kid, and it's very natural that the kid would go and ask those questions. That's perfectly fine. But it's Snoop Dogg's responsibility to go and answer those questions. And honestly, it's not that hard to do so. Like, you could just say, what Lauren said, love is love, regardless of whoever gender it is. And with the aspect of the baby, I mean, honestly, that feels very easy. And you could go into any direction with that, especially with the fact that this is an animated sci-fi film. So in that regards, you can make up whatever sci-fi thing to go and make whatever crazy explanation. Or you could just go with the simple answer of adoption. You could just go and simply say adoption, and that will answer all problems right there. It's definitely easy to go and do. And yet Snoop Dogg is just put in that weird position where he just doesn't know. Like, honestly, the problem is not the movie. The problem is obviously you. And not to mention, by the way, I know a lot of people are going to go and actually bring this up. But yes, it is true that with Snoop, it does feel hypocritical that he would go and suddenly be against a same-sex couple with a girl and a girl, considering that Snoop Dogg himself actually does have a history of having lesbian couples or having two girls making out with each other throughout his career, rather it be in his music videos, or he himself has actually directed a porno where two girls are just going at it with each other. So in that regards, yeah, he's not necessarily fully against two girls being a couple, as long as it's something that's just pornographic. But I will say, though, this is honestly a moment that really does shed a light on homophobia. And honestly, that's something that I gotta say makes so much sense when you think about the mindset of homophobics, and I'll even include transphobics onto that. Because yes, there will be times when these people are going to be extremely hypocritical and they'll go and try to consume porn that is related to their phobias, rather it be if they want to go and check out like two girls making out and having sex, or you would see like a trans person involved into the porno, rather it be like pre-op or post-op or whatever. So like you'll see a lot of those hypocrisies. But the thing is, with these types of people, when it comes to homophobic and transphobic people who don't see a gay couple, or they don't see like a same-sex couple, or they don't see trans people as just people who are different, that are like, that no different than those who have like different races or different genders or whatever, for them, they see same-sex not as something, or they see like same-sex couples not necessarily as a factor of life, but they actually see that as a kink, a fetish. So with these people, they usually associate that with porn. In fact, you probably have heard the news with especially in the US, especially with red states, where they want to really go and put in a ban on porn, that they're trying to make legislatures and bills where they want to go and try to ban all the porn on the internet. And with these legislatures, they would actually go and include anything that would present LGBTQ plus themes, also including that in their anti-porn bills. And the reason why they do so is because in the minds of homophobes and transphobes, those things right there, for them, the only value that they have is just porn, especially when many of these conservatives, that's what they're secretly into. That's like kind of their secret little kink that they have. I can guarantee you that just about every Republican who is against gay rights and trans rights, they have masturbated at least once to porn that features a same-sex couple. Whether it be girl on girl or guy on guy or even trans porn, you know that they fapped to it, and maybe even more than once. You know that they are secretly into it because, again, they don't associate that as just a part of life and just people being themselves. They factor that as a fetish because for them, that's the only value that the LGBTQ plus community has for them. And it's the same thing with Snoop Dogg. For him, two girls making out, for his definition of it, that's just porn. That's just a fetish. And that's why he wasn't able to go and answer the questions to his grandkids. Because when he would go and see Alicia and Kiko Hawthorne together, he would think that, oh, this is like the porn that I regularly do. So for him, what he sees here is kind of like Pixar is making porn. Because for Snoop Dogg, he can only associate two women in love as just porn. So that's honestly the big problem with all this. And it really shows the messed up mindset with Snoop Dogg. So yeah, honestly, overall, I feel like with this whole thing that Snoop Dogg is trying to do, saying that he's so scared now of going to the movies because of his traumatic experience with Lightyear and seeing a same-sex couple going on, especially when it is two women right there. That, like, honestly, it really shows how his conservatism, much like with any Trump supporters and any Republicans out there, his conservatism is just making him absolutely weak. Especially when you know with Snoop Dogg as a rapper, he has experienced some dark stuff. Like, he has seen some nightmarish things, rather it be with drugs, rather it be with women, rather it be with even murder. But apparently, Lightyear just went too far. Apparently, that's a fear that not even Snoop himself could overcome, especially when it seems like a fear that he can't even shake off for 3 freaking years. And honestly, I personally feel like with this whole thing, you know the craziest part about all this? I feel like Snoop Dogg is actually making Lightyear look good. Like, we are now in a scenario where people are just so fed up with these anti-LGBTQ plus arguments, with all these homophobic discussions and stuff like that, that now people are actually being on the side of Lightyear and actually showing some positive reception towards that film. Like, even if the movie itself is not okay, like, some of them are like going out saying, well, at least, no, the gay couple, like, that's actually a cool thing. That's something that Pixar actually did right on this. And honestly, the more that we see, the more that we hear about this stupid argument going on again, on repeat, kind of like what Snoop Dogg is doing, then the more that I honestly feel like we're just going to see, like, Lightyear speed track its way into actually being a liked animated feature. I mean, it's still going to be some time for people to go and actually embrace Lightyear, or people are going to open up and actually say, you know what, I actually do like Lightyear. It's better than what people make it out to be. I feel like we're kind of like speed running our way through. The more that we exercise people into defending Lightyear, especially with its same-sex couple representation, then the more likely that we'll see people turn around and actually show appreciation for Lightyear. So I'm just telling you that right now. Maybe I could be wrong, and maybe, like, we're not going to see more people be like Snoop Dogg about it, but I'm just putting out a bit of a warning. So yeah, like, I just want to go and state that right now, that honestly, with Snoop Dogg's comments, it's just absolutely unnecessary. It just feels like Snoop Dogg is being like the cartoon community and just desperately forcing out the Disney hate when obviously it's just so uncalled for. All right, so with that said, now it is time I'm going to go onto the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, How do you feel about Snoop Dogg's comment about Lightyear? Do you guys agree with him? Do you guys disagree with him? Let me know what you guys think. And I know we don't necessarily have a lot of time, so I'll do the best to go through the comments over here. So let's see what we got. Who knew Snoop Doggy Dogg was such a Snoop Doggy dumbass? I will acknowledge that even though I like the movie, Lightyear has its fair share of problems. The same-sex couple is not one of them. And the fact that he swore off going to the movies because of it, it should not be telling a man 30 years older than me to grow some balls, but here we all are. This is just proof that homophobia is just another fancy synonym for stupidity. Snoop Doggy, do better. Exactly, man. And I mean, out of all the problems, if you're just going to keep hammering, if you're just going to keep going at it against if you're just going to go against the same-sex couple in Lightyear to be against the movie, then you're just making yourself look dumb, and you're honestly going to put Lightyear in a more positive light. Actually have some real criticisms instead of the existence of LGBTQ plus community, okay? There's no such thing as freaking forced diversity, so don't use that as a legitimate criticism. Let's see what we got. It was a serious red flag when Snoop was part of Trump's second inauguration, and all I could say is that I'm officially done with this hack. Now with this, I'm surprised anyone still listens to him when no one should be a long time ago. Also, are we still talking about Lightyear 3 years later? I thought we moved on from this. Just leave Lightyear alone, you guys. The movie did nothing wrong. It has the same-sex kiss scene, so it's normal. Looks like we owe Lightyear an apology now. I know it. Well, I mean, give it some time, and I'm not saying that the turnaround is going to happen immediately, but if we are going to see more of these types of complaints from people like Snoop Dogg and stuff like that about Lightyear, then I think the apology is going to be coming closer and closer. We're not there yet, but I mean, Snoop Dogg is accelerating the process. All right, let's see here. We are never going to have a meaningful discussion about Lightyear, are we? Any discussions we'll have about it is going to be hijacked by homophobic assholes talking about that kiss, isn't it? Not the story, not the characters, not the animation. It's just going to be homophobes complaining about the kiss and nothing else. I never liked Snoop's music, and now I no longer like him as a person. Power to Evelyn Dever, Officer Spencer, and Alicia Hawthorne. Pixar lesbians for life. Wait, is Evelyn Dever actually a lesbian? Did they actually confirm that? I don't know. I never saw that, or I never heard any comments where people mention that she is a lesbian or if she's into girls. I mean, like, sure, she may look the part, but I don't know. I never thought of that. Let's see now. Let's see. I don't have anything to say but to infinity and not beyond for Snoop Dogg for getting angry over watching a movie with his grandson over him asking questions about a woman being in love with another woman and having a kid. I will give the screenwriter credit for giving a reason why it was in the movie, and the person who was asking the question is a kid and he is still learning, and Snoop Dogg just doesn't know that it's his problem, not the movie and the kids' media with that topic itself. All right, I think I only have time for one more comment here. So, all right, I think I'll go. Yeah, I'll go with. I'll go with the. Screw it, I'll go with this one. Like AVGN said to Snoop Dogg, wow, what an asshole. There's nothing wrong with showing the theme, and there is nothing to complain about the movie. I don't know why he is scared, since there are other types of movies that made people refuse to watch, like Terrifier films, which make people sick. Also, he is a supporter of the orange guy, and he has unquestionable cases in the past. Marlon Wayans came forward by saying that Snoop Dogg the Hollywood agenda is trying to make kids empathetic, not gay. Exactly, man. Honestly, like, if you're really going to be complaining about the fact that there's a same-sex couple, you might as well be complaining about the fact that there's a black character in Lightyear also. All right, so with that said, it is now time. We're going to go on to our next break. And when we do come back, we're going to go and lift things up in terms of the mood by talking about the future of one of the biggest animated features of the year. And already the talks for a sequel are happening. So stay tuned for that one, you guys. All right, welcome back. Now, on our next story that we have here, we are going to be talking about, once again, of K-Pop Demon Hunters, which already the records are still continuing, and it has already reached one of the big ones, in which now K-Pop Demon Hunters is officially the most watched English language movie on Netflix. So already the sensation of it, like, it is already massive. Now, in the previous times that I have talked about K-Pop Demon Hunters, a lot of which is related to its future. So, as you guys know, because of the big success of K-Pop Demon Hunters, Netflix is ready to go and actually create not just a sequel, but an entire franchise of K-Pop Demon Hunters. Oh, excuse me. Just need to go and let that out a little bit. Excuse me, pardon me, everybody. But as I was saying, yes, Netflix wants to go and create so many things now with K-Pop Demon Hunters, in which the list includes a trilogy, shorts, a series, and maybe even a stage musical, and rumor has it, also a live-action remake, but some people are saying the latter may not necessarily be true. And the last time that I did talk about K-Pop Demon Hunters was how Sony Pictures took a massive L because of K-Pop Demon Hunters' success, considering that they decided to completely go and sell the entire movie rights to Netflix, thinking that there would be no way that it would end up becoming successful or if it would even become relevant in any way, in which, of course, they were proven to be absolutely wrong. So they do realize that they have made a massive mistake, but they're not going to go and make that same mistake again if there's going to be more K-Pop Demon Hunters movies. So with that said, let's go ahead and check out the news about the next K-Pop Demon Hunters movie. And okay, I don't know what's going on with this advertising. Like, the way that they're presenting this Chanel thing, like, it just pops up and it's like, Bleu Chanel, and it just covers the entire thing. Excuse me, like, I don't know. The Hollywood Reporter needs to go and, like, seriously fix that. Son of a bitch, can you leave me alone, Chanel? I want to read about K-Pop Demon Hunters. It's not about you. Leave me alone. Okay, I want to read. Okay, let's see. I'll do the best I can to try to cover it. Okay, good. It's not there. Oh, thank goodness. All right. Thank you. So, as I was saying here, yes, Sony Pictures. So, yes, as you could see here, yes, right now, in fact, let me just go and read you here from my source on The Hollywood Reporter. Sony Pictures is in talks with Netflix to make an animated sequel to K-Pop Demon Hunters, source tell The Hollywood Reporter. The fantasy musical has turned into the sort of cultural sensation every Hollywood studio or streamer tries to hunt down, even at great expense, but rarely finds. So, right now, of course, Sony is in talks that they want to go and make the sequel for Netflix. But of course, before they get into the actual sequel, they need to go and actually make a whole deal. So just to read you this part here, it states, when it comes to profit margins, a studio hopes for a range of 10 to 12%. In the case of Demon Hunters, Sony could be looking at 20 to 30%. The deal for the first Demon Hunters, which was part of a larger multi-title pact struck during the depths of the pandemic in 2021, saw Netflix agreeing to cover the film's entire $100 million budget, in addition to paying Sony a fee of $25 million, or 25% of the budget, and certain other costs. Sony also received a piece of soundtrack sales as well as music publishing fees for certain songs. Merchandising rights, however, belong solely to Netflix. So from there is a little bit of a clarification about the deal that happened with KPop Demon Hunters, that Sony basically put it with a bunch of other movies to go and hand it over to Netflix. And previously it was reported that what Sony ended up getting was only $20 million in profit. But what actually did happen was that not only did Netflix pay the $100 million budget, but also an extra $25 million. And on top of that, it even says that Sony does get a bit of a piece of the soundtrack sales, as well as music publishing fees for certain songs. So maybe there is a possibility that, at least in terms of the music, maybe Sony is actually getting something, considering that one of the most popular things about KPop Demon Hunters is the soundtrack itself, and especially how some of the most popular songs of the year do include some of the songs from the movie, including Golden, How It's Done, Soda Pop, Your Idol, and so on and so forth. So from there, maybe the L that Sony Pictures got is not as big as we thought, but it is still quite an L, because it still doesn't necessarily change the fact that the potential hundreds of millions of dollars that Sony could have gotten if they kept the rights is pretty much done. So yeah, from there, at least there is a little bit more clarification, and maybe Sony did get a little bit of something, but it still stands that they could have gotten so much more, though. But still, at least from what we have gathered. Oh, actually, there is one more thing I do want to go and present and discuss about in this, and that is actually going to be in regards to the directors, actually, in which it actually says right over here, in regards to directors Maggie Kang and Chris Applehatz, they have spoken publicly in the broadest strokes about a possible sequel and are considered integral to the future of Demon Hunters. Sony insiders say that they have held preliminary conversations with the directors, but as of yet, there is no deal on the table. That's because the first priority is to sort out the Netflix-Sony pact. It is also important to note that Netflix cannot make a sequel without Sony, and Sony cannot make a sequel without Netflix. Or, that is an interesting comment that they did put at the end there, considering that there are some people who do say a bit of the contrary when it comes to K-Pop Demon Hunters, that considering that Netflix is the sole owner of K-Pop Demon Hunters, since they do own the entire rights of that franchise, then they could theoretically go and create K-Pop Demon Hunters without Sony Pictures if they want to. But I guess it's more of a meaning that if they truly want to make a legitimate K-Pop Demon Hunters sequel, then of course they will need Sony Pictures, because they were the ones who made K-Pop Demon Hunters in the first place. So, in a way, this is a little bit of a continuation to the previous story that I did talk about, with how Sony got a massive loss from not having the rights to K-Pop Demon Hunters, or just selling the rights to get $25 million, or $25 million that they then had to go and pay a few additional expense. So maybe the profit is just $20 million. But at this point, though, I think it is safe to say that Sony is definitely aware that they took the L, and they want to go and try to not have that again. I think I've already mentioned this last time, but this basically shows that when it comes to Sony right now they completely understand Disney's position with the Spider-Man film rights, considering that the rights to Spider-Man in general is already convoluted and complicated, where Sony is the one that owns the film rights, but Disney, on the other hand, owns everything else, including the merchandising rights. And yes, even if it's not related to the MCU, then at that point, if you would go and get some merchandising, like based on Spider-Verse and stuff like that, then that's going to belong to Disney. In fact, I remember when I went to Walt Disney World, I think it was like on the last day, and I went to Epcot, and I remember like just checking around the shops, and there was one section where they were selling pins, and they were already starting to sell Across the Spider-Verse pins. And these are like legit official Disney pins that they were pretty much selling. Even though it's not necessarily Disney's movie, Disney is still capitalizing on those feature films. So and this is not even to mention that Disney and Sony has made a deal with the Spider-Man films, or at least with the MCU Spider-Man films. You could go and clarify that, or you could go and correct me if I am wrong on this, but at least with the MCU Spider-Man films, Disney and Sony has made a deal where even though Disney would be the one to go and make it, while Sony would be the one to go and distribute it, in terms of the box office revenue, Disney would go and get a 25% share, and Sony would go, of course, have the rest. Now, I'm not 100% sure if that also applies to the Spider-Verse films or any of the spin-off films as well, but at least I do know that's how it is with the main MCU Spider-Man movies out there. So in that position, like, you could already tell that with Disney, they know that they got a system going on, and that if they are going to be involved with Spider-Man, and especially to have him in the MCU and to be producing movies, they also want to be involved. And it's pretty much the same thing with Sony Pictures. Right now, they are the ones who are making KPop Demon Hunters, or at least with the first movie, they were the ones who made KPop Demon Hunters, but they didn't entirely capitalize on the massive success that it got. Because of the fact that they sold the film, they sold all the rights to Netflix years ago, Netflix is the one that managed to go and actually, they were the ones who profited the most out of it. Like, pretty much Netflix is in Sony's position. When Sony would make the MCU Spider-Man films, they just have to supply the cash, like pay for the budget, and then let Sony make the film, and then Netflix is the one who goes and gets the profit. So from there, Sony now has to put on their Disney mode and try to negotiate a full-on deal that if they want to go, if they want more K-pop Demon Hunters, and to be sure that they would get it right in the way that fans would want them to get it right, then they would have to go and negotiate a deal. And yeah, like, considering that, according to this article, they did say that they're trying to do maybe like a 20% or a 30% profit margins. It's pretty much the same thing with what Disney is doing right now with Spider-Man. And I mean, yeah, like, some people could probably argue if they would have to do like 50-50, or considering that Sony is the one who is profiting, Sony is the one who's who's the one creating K-pop Demon Hunters, then they should definitely have a share of that maybe they should have bigger. But I mean, in this scenario, if you're able to go and get like around 20 or 30%, that is like an amazing deal. So and this is not to mention also, we are talking about Sony Pictures after all, and they're not necessarily in a good position when it comes to their movies. Like, nowadays, as you can imagine, it is quite rare that they would actually have a very successful feature that would do well either in theaters or even in streaming, if they would have the rights in the first place. For them, it's honestly a bit of a dime a dozen, and it's even at the point where even like their the stuff that would guarantee them success, like their most notable franchises that they own, they don't always become profitable for them. Like stuff like movies such as like Ghostbusters or even Spider-Man. In fact, like, there have been times that it shows that they're not guaranteed to always provide success for Sony Pictures. And even though they're still continuing with some later on, like for example, with what was it again? With Jumanji, and that I think aren't they doing like a third movie that's going to be coming soon, like in 2027 or 2026 or something like that? But yeah, like the fact that they want to make a third Jumanji movie at this point, it's like, you know, I know those previous features were massively successful, but you know, would they be able to do that again a third time around? Like, do people even care about those new Jumanji movies anymore? They feel like things that, even though they were massively popular, their relevancy would just like come and go pretty quickly. And some people are even bringing up like I Know What You Did Last Summer, or stuff like that. So, someone actually clarified. Jumanji 3 is coming out in December of 2026. Yeah, even at that, okay, you know what? At this point, I might as well go and say it. There's probably a very good chance that the Jumanji movie, I can't really see that movie becoming successful, especially if that's going to be coming out in December 2026. Is that actually going to do well compared to Avengers Doomsday and Doom Part 3? Like, if it's going to be coming out around the same time as those features, do you think people are going to care about that Jumanji feature? Okay, yes, I know some people are trying to correct me and say that technically it's Jumanji 4, but I mean, like, you get what I mean. Jumanji 3 with characters like Dwayne Johnson, Jack Black, and all those characters. I mean, like, that modern Jumanji 3. Let's put it like that. No, Crimson, we're not gonna go into Zoru. I was about to say the Pokemon Zorua. No, we're not gonna pick Zozura. We're not doing the spin-offs thing. Let's not make this more of a mess than it is. But you guys do get what I mean, though. Sony is in a position where they absolutely need profitable franchises in order to keep going, because so far things have been slacking in terms of the financial performances of Sony Pictures. So they need something like K-Pop Demon Hunters. They need to have some form of attachment of K-Pop Demon Hunters, or Zathura. Okay, well, what the fridge ever, man. It's just weird Jumanji nonsense. But anyways, as I was saying, yeah, with Sony Pictures, they're starting to be seriously lacking in terms of profitable franchises. And so they need something like K-Pop Demon Hunters, and they cannot lose that chance to not have, they cannot lose that opportunity to make a profit off of K-Pop Demon Hunters. In fact, they in a way, they kind of need it a little bit for their survival. If if the future of K-Pop Demon Hunters can still be strong, if the sequels and like the spin-offs and like whatever projects they want to do can still be profitable, can still be good, then that is something that Sony Pictures absolutely needs for their longevity. If they want to be sure that Sony Pictures can still do well, and like we can still have a Sony Pictures in the long run, not upset too much. You don't want to make the Japanese executives at the Sony Corporation too upset. Then at that point, you need to go and have K-Pop Demon Hunters. So before anything, let's see how the deal goes before we even talk about how the sequel may be. All right, so with that said and done, now I would like to go onto the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about Sony trying to make a deal with Netflix for a K-Pop Demon Hunters sequel, or for the future of K-Pop Demon Hunters? Do you think this is something Sony absolutely needs, or do you think Netflix is better off without Sony Pictures? Let me know what you all think about this. All right, so let's see what we got here now. On paper, a sequel to K-Pop Demon Hunters would be great since it will solve some of the movie problems like its world building and give us more lore about the characters, and of course have more boppers like how Golden and Soda Pop were like the movies Let It Go, and we don't talk about Bruno. But Netflix can't make a sequel without Sony, and Sony cannot make a sequel without Netflix. They want to make the sequel and they have to get that contract agreement done. Exactly. Like, it's right now like a top priority. Like you want more K-Pop Demon Hunters, then those two have to learn to work together. So it makes it far less likely that Sony Pictures and especially Sony Pictures Animation to go and release more animated features theatrically, or let alone make more original animated films. But this is for the sake of the longevity of both Sony Pictures and especially Sony Pictures Animation. And this definitely is a case where, like, maybe some people could debate rather if Netflix needs Sony Pictures for K-Pop Demon Hunters, but Sony absolutely needs Netflix for more K-Pop Demon Hunters, especially to make a deal, and if they ever want to see long-term profits off of K-Pop Demon Hunters. All right, so any other comments that people want to go and make? Is there any other anything else? Let's see, because I do see the comments are a little dry on this subject. Quite surprising, because I thought like many people would go and to go and actually talk about K-Pop Demon Hunters, but then again, like there's already so much that has been said about the movie. I mean, like at this point, like what else can be said about K-Pop Demon Hunters, you know? Let's see. All I could say is that I can't wait for the Funko Pops of the characters. I already got the hoodie with the Huntrix logo on it, so I do like the merch they bought out so far. Also, that sequel needs more music genres like rock music. That would be cool. Okay. That's fair. I do see one person does have something to say, so we'll see what they have in store. And I already see like some people like already mentioning Zathura or Zozura Zabumafu. Yeah, at least freaking yeah, we're gonna have Zabumafu like be part. We're gonna have it be canon of freaking Jumanji. Although that would actually be insane. I'm not gonna lie. Have a Jumanji movie be set in Zabuland. And then we're just gonna have Dwayne Johnson like just go in, leap. Okay, anyways, I do see we got more comments going on. All right, so man, the success of K-Pop Demon Hunters need to be studied on. This movie having a sequel is no surprise after the massive success it's getting on Netflix. However, Netflix needs Sony to work together to make a sequel. Let's hope Sony and Netflix makes a good deal to the rights for K-Pop Demon Hunters. Also, I don't mind getting a sequel for K-Pop Demon Hunters. I could see it explore more the world building and focus more on either Mira and Zoe. That could be a potential idea there. Let's see. Any other comments? I do hope Netflix and Sony make a good deal for themselves with K-Pop Demon Hunters. I'm very much open and hyped for the sequel to be happening, and I do hope it didn't get franchise fatigue if Netflix didn't learn from the Lego movie. Also, this segment is brought to you by Chanel. Oh yeah, especially if they want to get out of the, want to get in the way. All right, I see the one comment has yet to really pop up. So, I guess at this point, oh, okay, no, it's right here. Okay, so we'll go and read this right here. Well, honestly, I don't know, since Sony isn't really like a Disney production. Like, they still hold things like Spider-Man and tend to keep them and still be there. Still, would there be some who would say it's still not a smart idea, especially since some people are still upset with Spectacular Spider-Man, for example. But I do hope for this decision that they better do it right if they can match up to the success. Yeah, and I mean, I know, actually, I just thought of this, actually. Considering that there is one movie that is hyped up from Sony Pictures that many people will be waiting for, and that is the Legend of Zelda movie. And that is going to be one that Sony needs to get it right. Otherwise, oh boy, they would be in a lot of trouble. But anyways, that should do it for this K-Pop Demon Hunter story. And we are going to be right back after this break, where I will go and give you some news about what is happening in Canada. And sadly, however, this isn't going to be pleasant news, especially, well, let's just say there are pieces of my personal childhood that I'm going to have to say goodbye to. So stay tuned for that. All right, welcome back. Now, when it comes to our next story here, this is actually something that is related to my home country in Canada. So as a Canadian, you may imagine that the way that I grew up loving animation is a little bit more different than you guys. We don't naturally have channels like Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon or the Disney Channel. What I personally grew up with is with stuff like Teletoon, YTV, and the Family Channel, and maybe a few others as well, but those were our main channels where we would go and consume our cartoons and our shows. Even the ones that were imported from America. If we wanted to check out the Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network shows, we would have to either find some wacky ways to go and actually get those American channels, or we would go and actually have to wait until they do come to either stuff like Teletoon and Nickelodeon. But over time, though, unfortunately, those channels have become less and less popular, and especially in the age of streaming, things have really taken a downward spiral from them. In fact, it wasn't that long ago in which we Canadians actually fully lost Teletoon. But it looks like pretty soon, and even right now, we're going to be losing a whole lot more channels, and that is especially the case with Family. WildBrain has officially announced that they're going to be shutting down its TV broadcast business. And that basically means that it is going to be the end of several channels that WildBrain has owned, which includes the Family Channel, Family Junior, WildBrain TV, and Télémaginot. In which to go and continue forward about what's going to be happening with the future of WildBrain from here, it states, reading from my source here on Animation Magazine, the company will focus on leveraging its existing IPs, which includes renowned brands such as Peanuts, Strawberry Shortcake, and Teletubbies across streaming, YouTube, consumer products, and immersive fan experience. So it's basically shutting down the TV channel business, and they'll be putting in more focus onto creating their shows and distributing them onto other means, such as YouTube and streaming, and providing other experiences outside of that. Following a recent decision from the Canadian Radio, Television, and Telecommunications Commission, which found that WildBrain was not the subject of undue disadvantage from Rogers Communications Canada Inc., WildBrain has been unable to negotiate a new carriage agreement with Rogers for the channel. For the channels, actually. Rogers has subsequently informed the company that it is intent to remove the channels from its distribution service, which is expected to occur in the coming months. As a result, WildBrain's previously announced transaction to sell a majority stake in the channels to IOM Media Ventures will no longer proceed. So essentially, we are pretty much going to be losing Family Channel. Now, for those of you who don't know, just to go and give you some context about the Family Channel, in case you guys aren't in Canada, back in the day when like Family Channel was at its height, it was pretty much the Canadian equivalent to Disney Channel. Now, of course, like with YTV and Teletoon, it would have a bunch of its own original programming, but the main reason why Canadians would go and check out Family Channel is mainly because we would go and this is pretty much our way to go and experience Disney Channel stuff. So if people want to go and watch like Hannah Montana, for example, or Lizzie McGuire, or even The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, they would go and check it out there. And on top of that, they would also go and present a lot of animated shows as well. If you want to go and check out either Kim Possible, Pepper Ann, or even the Lilo and Stitch series, you would have to go and check them out on the Family Channel. In fact, I remember as a kid, the big reason why I would go and check out the Family Channel is because that was the channel that would go and present either the Mickey Mouse Works or especially the House of Mouse. I remember regularly watching the House of Mouse through Family Channel. I mean, considering that I never really had a legitimate Disney Channel in the first place, and again, me and my family would have to find other means in order to go and get that. If we wanted to get like quick, easy access of House of Mouse, especially when it's after school and stuff like that, we would go and put it on the Family Channel. And hearing that go, though, I gotta say it is sad. Now, admittedly, it's been a long time since I've personally seen anything from the Family Channel. And I'll even add that as time has passed, the landscape of Canadian television, especially for kids media, it has especially changed, considering that channels like YTV and Teletoon and stuff like that, they were being less reliable, and they decided to go directly to getting the more well-known American brands and bring them right here. There was an attempt to go and bring in Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon and even the actual Disney Channel onto Canada. Now, I will say attempt, mainly because of the fact that, well, you're going to find out a little bit later. So at that point, the value of the YTV or the Teletoon or the Family Channel brand, it would then go and start to go and diminish a little bit. But still, though, as a Canadian growing up in the 90s and the 2000s, it just feels very unfortunate to see those channels go. And it's already enough that I lost Teletoon. And I mean, with Teletoon, there were so many shows that I grew up enjoying. There was, of course, a lot of the Cartoon Network shows that would air on Teletoon, and not to mention a lot of the original stuff. I remember back then I was a huge fan of a series called What's with Andy, or even, I will admit, a massive guilty pleasure that I had was Mega Babies. With that said, though, already losing that, it already sucks. But now hearing also Family Channel is going to be gone, that is honestly unfortunate. But the funny thing is that when looking into this story, there was something that I remembered, and honestly, this is the perfect time to actually go and talk about this now, considering that as I am recording this, as we are live here, we are September 1st, so now it actually is unfortunately official, where now, on top of the fact that we're going to be losing channels like Family Channel and Family Junior, we have now officially also lost Nickelodeon and Disney Junior. So yeah, this is kind of like a separate news, but and this is something that was already reported back in mid-July, but considering that the official time that it's going to shut down, it is actually right now. As of today, Canada no longer has these channels. So yes, today we have now lost Nickelodeon, we have lost Disney Junior, we have lost Disney XD, we have lost ABC Spark, and we have lost La Chaîne Disney. Now, technically, we still do have the Disney Channel, but all those other ones, they are gone. And especially the fact that we lost Nickelodeon, that's honestly a big one that it is out. And to give you a little bit more of an explanation onto that, it is said here, now reading from my source on Kidscreen, it states, Chorus Entertainment will shut down 5 channels in Canada on September 1st as part of an ongoing effort to reduce its operating costs. Chorus has been aggressively cutting costs lately against the backdrop of a continued revenue slump, which is exacerbated last year by the loss of rights to Warner Brothers Discovery brands HGTV, Food Network, and Cooking Channel. In the second quarter of 2025, the company sustained an overall loss of 39 million US dollars, and its quarterly revenue was down from $215.7 million US dollars to $194.6 US dollars year over year. So, on top of the fact that we are seeing these major corporations like with Chorus Entertainment and also with Wildbrain, or at least Wildbrain's television division, like you could see that right now things have been going from bad to worse, and they have to go and cut these down. They have to go and make these massive sacrifices. So you could imagine that, yeah, it's pretty bad that on top of like the family channels, we've also just lost Nickelodeon, and we lost several Disney channels. And this is not even to mention how we've already lost the fact that we've already lost Teletoon. But you know, the thing is that really sucks. You know what's probably the worst thing about all this? As unfortunate as it is that we are seeing these channels going down and that pieces of my personal childhood are just going to disappear and now are just going to become a memory, the thing that really sucks is that I get it. Honestly, I kind of understand why they are doing this. I understand the decisions of why they are immediately getting rid of kid channels, especially like why they are among the first to be on the chopping block. And that is mainly because of how kids consume media nowadays. I mean, yes, like back when me and you were kids and stuff like that, there was a time when we would get all excited to go and turn on the TV and just watch whatever cartoon is going to be on. You know, like put on our favorite channels, whether it be like Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon, or even like in Canada, you turn on Teletoon or YTV and you're ready to go and check out whatever is going to be on like before or after school. So there is that excitement that we would have in our childhood. But when you think about the kids nowadays, it is honestly very hard to imagine that they would also have that feeling or that they would be consuming their media back that way. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm not saying that it's impossible to imagine kids turning on Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon nowadays if they want to have their fix of either SpongeBob or Teen Titans Go or whatever. But what I am saying is that it's not as common or as realistic as it was before, because kids are far more likely to go and consume cartoons or consume their media through streaming or on the internet. They're not going to go and check out whatever's on TV. They want to have control of what they want to go and watch. So that's why they would go and turn on Netflix or Disney Plus or Amazon Prime Video. Or they would just go on a website like YouTube and go and check whatever whatever video they want to go and check out. They have their they have their choices, and they got and especially the parents, like for younger kids especially, the parents can actually have a choice of whatever the kids can actually go and watch. That if they want to go and see something like Bluey, or if they want to see Paw Patrol, they can have the choice to go and do so. All of which, and well, nowadays, optionally, without any commercials. They can do so at any time they choose to. And this is not even to mention, especially with how technology is so advanced, that nowadays it doesn't just have to be on television. You can also do so through your phones or through tablets or through your computers and stuff like that. Like now the way, like also how you choose to go and consume your media, like there are many different options that people can go and do so. And that is honestly, and that's sadly why, that's why these big companies like Chorus or even Rogers, for example, they decided that they're going to go and choose kids movies, or not kids movies, but kids media to be on the chopping block. Stuff that is aimed for kids, they might as well be among the first to go in order to cut down costs, because kids nowadays, they're not as likely to go and consume media just through television. I mean, especially nowadays, that when you think about Gen Alpha, it's pretty rare to find any of them who would actually go and watch something on TV instead of watching something that would be on either streaming or whatever would be on their iPad. So it's really unfortunate to see how that's going to be. And keep in mind, this is just in Canada, and I'm saying as a Canadian to just brace yourself for when that's going to be coming in other parts of the world, especially in the US. Like, this is just a little bit of a warning that I feel like this could be coming, especially in the United States, where they might do the same thing to the TV channels of Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network. Maybe they won't necessarily kill off the brand, but when it comes to the channel on the television, it's not necessarily going to have as much of a value as it used to be. So yeah, for those of you who are dependent on holding on to your nostalgia, I'm just going to say brace yourself, because that is going to happen. I feel like there is unfortunately going to be a time where you're going to have to go and say goodbye to those channels. And this is not even to mention the fact that, well, their parent companies, well, they're in a more complicated situation, rather it be Paramount now being owned by Skydance or Warner Brothers Discovery trying to do that big split. Yeah, honestly, the fate of those channels in particular, it's going to be a bit complicated. And this is not even to mention with Disney as well. Like, you never know if they're going to decide if they're going to be leaning onto television, if that really is that much of an important asset for them, or if they're going to be a little bit more serious with Disney Plus. You don't know what decisions that Disney is going to make in the future. I mean, I will say the fate of the Disney Channel and all those other ones like Disney XD and Disney Junior, they seem to be more fine compared to like Cartoon Network, but still though, that doesn't mean that they're going to forever stay on television. So I just want to go and express my thoughts onto that, and especially to look into the current landscape of kids media on television and how things are going on right now. Again, it really sucks, but honestly, yeah, it's to be expected, and it's sadly understandable why these companies are doing this. So with that said, now I would like to go onto the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, how do you feel about the current state of Canadian television, especially with the decline of these TV channels? And especially if you so happen to be a Canadian, I would love to know what you think. In fact, I would actually love to know how many Canadians are actually watching this, you know, like not just like how many Canadians watch my videos, but also like how many Canadians listen to the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. That would be fun to know. All right, let's see what we got here. So during the day, preschool programming was supplemented by some titles previously broadcasted on La Chaîne Disney, including Rubble & Co. and Batwheels. New episodes of Bugs Bunny Builders, Pokemon Horizons, Jellystone, Beyblade X, Teen Titans Go, and Tiny Toons University will also be broadcast. Okay, interesting enough. Let's see. It's a tragedy that we've been losing all these channels. As a kid who grew up in Canada during the late 2000s and early 2010s, this, along with YTV and Teletoon, were my childhood, and it feels like it's going away. But then again, the kids nowadays don't even watch TV that much, and I don't mean streaming, I mean like watching the regular television like the news. Exactly. That's why I'm saying right now that that's why I'm saying that with kids nowadays, just watching television, just like actually sitting there and watching television and just see whatever is on, like that is honestly a bit of a rarity right there. Let's see. I'm kind of wondering if Chorus is going to bother keeping Cartoon Network Canada at this point, because now YTV is airing Teen Titans Go and Gumball. They might be purging without us knowing. I mean, that is a massive possibility right there. Like at this point, if YTV is also going to be presenting a bunch of the Cartoon Network shows, then why even need a Cartoon Network Canada in the first place? I feel like that's going to be one that, you know, I feel like that might be another that is going to be around the corner that's just going to go. I mean, like, we've already lost Nickelodeon. I mean, Cartoon Network Canada wouldn't be that far off, right? Let's see what other comments are there. While I'm not from Canada, but American, this is quite tragic how streaming and the internet is not only affecting America, but Canada as well. I mean, we lost pieces of every Canadian animation fans and even non-recent consumed media child's memories from shows like SpongeBob. First, the loss of Teletoon. Now, this really sucks that you guys were losing your memories and how Chorus and Rogers want to cut corners and stay with the times. This really sucks, eh? I mean, yeah, it does. I mean, it does suck, but again, it's understandable, sadly, because of how kids are nowadays. Like, it's one of those things that honestly, I do get when they would have to say, like, it's nothing personal, it's just business. Because again, how many kids, like, are there any Canadian kids you know that are still watching television, that are watching, like, Cartoon Network Canada or stuff like YTV and stuff like that? Not really, especially when they got so many superior alternatives such as streaming and YouTube. Let's see, what else do we got here? A sobering tragedy, but an inevitable one. Cable is dying all over the world, not just in America and Canada, but in every country. I can't give my thoughts on this news as I am a filthy American, but I imagine all glorious Canadians like yourself are crestfallen over the news. Sadly, I foresee that we'll be losing more TV channels and streaming continues to overtake the dying industries that is cable. Disney XD here in America is on borrowed time, and Disney Channel won't last much longer. Yeah, exactly. And that, again, that's especially the case that, like, considering that Disney has Disney Plus, and considering how the business for that is actually doing a lot better for them now, is there even a point to try to maintain, like, Disney Channel and Disney XD and stuff like that? Honestly, it's hard to tell. Let's see, what else do we got here? Actually, there was one comment that I just want to double check. Oh, no, I already answered that one. Never mind. Let's see, what other comments would there be, just to double check. The Canadian Boomerang is practically a dead zone too, as it only airs a new version of Total Drama. A selected amount of recent Warner Brothers and Cartoon Network shows will literally the only retro nostalgic cartoon they air being the Raccoons, which is cool to see in an HD, but that's the oldest thing they have. Ugh, really? Like, if it's only the Raccoons that they have in terms of actual nostalgic Canadian shows, then that's going to be another one that's going to be going. All right. When I found out, I was sad Family Channel was a part of my childhood, along with Teletoon, YTV, and Treehouse. I remember watching shows on the channel like reruns of 60s Spider-Man, series Katie and Orby, and the Disney TV shows Farewell, Farewell Family Channel, I'm really going to miss you, along with Nick Canada. Yeah. Let's see now. You know, I could say this is just unfortunate for those in Canada. Really sorry to say. I know what it is like too, since I had to live in a cheap life. No thanks to my DAD. My resource of cartoons were on major networks like CBS and ABC. Now, in a way, I could see exactly why they have to kill them off. I mean, whoever watches cable TV nowadays, when the media on the internet and streaming has more of the resources of entertainment. Case in point, you'll say, which I'll say, sorry for your loss. Yeah, thanks, man. All right, I think there is one more. I think I'll read two more comments, actually. It sucks that a lot of countries started to remove American channels like Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Disney Channel, and others. One time I trying to show my youngest cousin Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Plus on TV, but he was not interested at all. So you have a point, Matt, but thankfully in Bulgaria, we don't have any of these channels like I mentioned. So lucky Bulgaria. Oh, I see. Oh, let's see. What? One more here. I just remembered Family was also the Canadian home for a few Nickelodeon shows. They aired Pete and Pete, Clarissa Explains It All That, The Amanda Show, and Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, as opposed to YTV. Oh my God, that's true. I forgot about that. Yo, that was another reason why I was watching the Family Channel. Oh my God. Like, I was honestly very fixated on like the House of Mouse, but it's true. I used to watch so much of all that and the Amanda Show, and I forgot that, yeah, it was part of Family. Oh my God, it actually brings me back. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, yeah, like nowadays, like, knowing what happened with all that in the Amanda Show, it's just like yeah, I've seen Quiet on Set, but still though, it's like, oh my God, it's just suddenly a memory that just flashed. It was like, I used to do that so many times. Oh my God. So yeah, so it's unfortunate to hear the end of the Family Channel, but with the decline of cable, it sadly is what it is. All right, so with that said, we're going to go on to one more break. And when we do come back, we're going to go and talk about a major event that happened during this weekend. And while it may not be massive like the Expo, we are going to go and check out what is happening at the destination. So stay tuned for all those major announcements. And now, everyone, it is time that we will go and cap this episode off with the grand finale. And for this grand finale, we will talk about a major event that has happened this weekend, which is called Destination D23. Now, for those of you who don't know what Destination D23 is, think of it like a mini D23 Expo. This is a special little event that has happened during the weekend, specifically at Walt Disney World at the Coronado Springs Resort, in which Disney would go and give little updates and some announcements regarding some of their upcoming movies and theme park attractions. And there is a bunch that they have actually revealed. And I'm going to go and do a bit of a lightning round to go and tell you some of these announcements that they are doing. So, without further ado, let's go and begin with a little appetizer with the theme park news. Now, it is worth noting, by the way, that not too long ago, like a little over a week actually, Disney also made a few extra announcements regarding a few attractions in Walt Disney World, giving us some updates on what's going to be going on with how they are going to go and do some improvements and changes to rides such as Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. There was another one that honestly I forgot what it is. Chatwall, can you please go and help me out on that? And Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets, which that is also going to be coming out in 2026, or at least it's going to be open in 2026. So yeah, it's Big Thunder Mountain. So yeah, they did announcements on Big Thunder Mountain, Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets, and there was something else. Do you guys know which one is the other? Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Zootopia. Yes. Zootopia Better Zootopia. That's what I mean. Yeah. The 3D show that's going to be replacing It's Tough to Be a Bug in Animal Kingdom. Okay. Thank you. There we go. So they already did all these announcements, but at Destination D23, they have also revealed some new stuff, which includes a limited run update to Tron Light Cycle Run, where as a tie-in to the new movie, there's going to be a new addition to the attraction that is going to be themed to Tron Ares, where it says here, reading from my source on Disney Parks blog, in which you'll launch into a Tron Ares version of the high-speed, adrenaline-pumping ride that bends reality into the video game world. Replacing the blue and orange hues of the ride, you'll weave through twisting tunnels of vibrant red and orange light trails. feeling the rush of wind and the surge of acceleration as you compete in a dazzling light cycle race. So basically, long story short, they are going to morb Tron Light Cycle Run. Then following that, they have also revealed there's going to be a brand new documentary that's going to be coming this winter called Disneyland Handcrafted, which will discuss about the journey of building Disneyland, from picking the spot in which Disney was going to go and build it in Anaheim all the way up to its opening day. And this is going to be a documentary that will be brought to us by acclaimed documentarian filmmaker Leslie Iwerks. And honestly, I'm a major fan of Leslie Iwerks' works. I love her documentaries, and honestly, I'm excited to see what she has in store with Disneyland Handcrafted. So again, if you want to go and check that out, there's already a trailer that is posted on YouTube. Keep in mind, it will be coming out this winter, both on Disney Plus and on the Disney YouTube channel. And then they also revealed a major announcement that they're going to do an update on the Carousel of Progress, where now there's going to be a brand new intro that will be given to us by a Walt Disney animatronic. Yes, folks, on top of Disneyland having a Walt Disney animatronic, there's now going to be a Disney World version that they will be presenting at the Carousel of Progress in Walt Disney World. And this, out of all the news that has been announced at Destination D23, that is the one that I look at and I have to say, I don't know, man. I don't know if I really need another one. I mean, the thing is that, okay, like in terms of the technology and the craftsmanship, like honestly, that Walt Disney animatronic is very well built. And as an animatronic, it is extremely impressive. But it is still extremely weird to see that it's trying to be Walt Disney. I don't know. There's something that's very off with how they tried to bring Walt Disney back to life and trying to use his old audio in order to have him speak and stuff like that. It feels very off-putting. And like with all the memes that's been going around, I agree with them. It looks more like the freaking My Pillow guy more so than it does Walt. All you need is like a pillow on one hand and a bag of cocaine in the other. And I don't know what, and honestly, it weirds me out knowing that now they want to go and make another one for the Carousel of Progress. Like, I want to know what the fridge was the thought process at Disney. Like, who the fridge was there at Walt Disney Imagineering and it's like, I got an idea, guys. Do you know that Walt Disney animatronic that we've done at Disneyland? For the 70th anniversary. You mean the one that people were freaked out about? Yeah? The one that made people uncomfortable? Yeah, that's the one. Let's go and make another. What? We need Disney World to have that. We need Florida. Florida needs a Walt Disney animatronic. I feel like it would be great at it. Well, where the heck are we going to put it? There's no great moments with Mr. Lincoln, and I mean, we can't just put it in, like, the Hall of Presidents. Don't worry about it. We're going to put it in the Carousel of Progress. I think it would fit very nicely. Just have the opening be that animatronic Walt Disney and then put on the show. It's going to work out. It's going to be great. Trust me, Florida people will love to have a Walt Disney animatronic. All right, now I don't know why I decided to turn a Disney executive into a drunken Patrick Warburton, but I just feel like with that kind of wackadoodle business decision, I feel like that's the best way that it would make sense, honestly. Oh, boy. But yeah, honestly, this is the one that I just find to be questionable and kind of weird. But anyways, to get back into this, yes, they did also reveal some new announcements in terms of like new things to go and eat and some concept art for some restaurants. But also, probably the biggest thing that did happen is a bit of updates on the highly anticipated Villains Land at the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World, in which not only did they reveal that Andreas Deja, the legendary animator who has brought us Gaston, Jafar, and Scar, he is going to be a consultant for this and will play a big part in bringing the Villains themed land to life. But on top of that, they have also revealed what the architecture is going to look like. So they have already done a whole bunch of research, and I'm just going to go and read you here, in which it actually states, the research trip in which they went to Paris and Barcelona was a truly transformative and completely immersive experience. Our team specifically studied Art Nouveau architecture design and the unique form, scale, and color that defines this style, which flourished in the late 1800s. Through partnership with local professors, along with art and architectural historians, Imagineers receive an intimate look at the architectural aesthetic that will serve as the overall design inspiration for the land. So you could see the Imagineers doing all their research in Paris and Barcelona. And you'll see, like, through these images of, like, these elements of Art Nouveau that will be integral to when they would go and build it. So you'll see, like, you'll notice, like, there's a lot of these like these structures that were made by Anthony Gaudi, and there will be elements that do remind me a little bit of, like, the designs of H.R. Geiger that will be implemented, but they're going to do what they can in order to make the Villains Land, like, look surrealistic, unnatural, but also really cool, to emphasize the villainy aspect of it all. So that is definitely exciting to see. So I believe that's pretty much all the major... actually, there is one more theme park announcement that they have done, and that is specifically in regards to the Cinderella Castle in Walt Disney World, in which they're going to revert the colors back to the original blue and white. Now, right now, when it comes to the castle, as you can see here, a lot of it is mostly like... maybe I guess you could say a bit of Aurora colors, or some people would even say trans colors, in fact, where, yes, there is the prominent use of gold, but at the same time, there's a little bit of, like, this light pink and, like, a very bright blue that they would use on the castle itself. But now they're going to revert the castle back to the original colors, where they're going to be sticking to just white and blue and some gold as well. So that's going to be a project that they are going to be working on soon. All right, so those are all the announcements in terms of the theme parks, but then there's also the things they revealed for the movies, and there's a lot to get into. First up, of course, they talked about Toy Story 5, in which the people at Destination D23 got a glimpse of the opening of the movie, in which they talked about how the film is going to start off with a carrier that got lost on a deserted island that holds a whole bunch of these malfunctioned Buzz Lightyear toys, who will be served as the villain of this movie in particular. On top of that, they even discussed about whom Conan O'Brien is going to play. Yes, Conan O'Brien is also going to be part of this movie, in which they state that he is going to be playing the role of Smarty Pants, who is this, it's actually right over here, in which they mentioned Smarty Pants is going to be a potty training toy. A potty training toy, as well as another character that will be joined, which will be the iPad that Bonnie will be obsessed with, called LilyPad, in which that entire... almost forgot to mention that, yes, on top of all that, they even did reveal that there is going to be a Buzz Lightyear balloon at this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And that film is going to be coming out, of course, on June 19th of next year. And then following that, they did also talk a little bit about the upcoming Mandalorian and Grogu movie, to which they also showed another clip that's going on. And I'm not going to go into like a lot of detail of what happened, but they did state that apparently Din Djarin is acting like Darth Vader like he did in Rogue One. And of course, you're going to get a whole bunch of very cute Grogu moments, in which that movie is going to be coming out on May 22nd of next year. Then we also got a quick word from Joe and Anthony Russo telling people that, things are going fine when it comes to Avengers Doomsday, and that it is one of their biggest projects that they are working on so far, but we didn't have any major announcements. This I'm saving you for last. And then we got Zootopia 2, in which they discuss a little bit about the 2 new actors that they are bringing on board for the sequel. First up, you got Yvette Nicole Brown, who's going to be playing 2 characters, specifically the Baroness and E.T. Otter. So here is the Baroness right over here with Nick handing over a pendant to her. And then they got to talk, and then on the stage, Jared Bush, the chief creative officer of Disney Animation, got to chat with Patrick Warburton, who is now going to be the voice of the new mayor of Zootopia, Mayor Windracer, whom previously was a full-on actor. And they got a chance to go and discuss about his performance and stuff like that. And, I've already done a Patrick Warburton impression. I might as well go and say that apparently they even say that there's a movie that he was in which Windracer would say, "You say justice is dead. I say nay." So, yeah, apparently they do promise he's going to be a very fun character that we're going to go and experience. So, of course, there's a lot of discussions of what's going to be happening with Zootopia 2. And if you are excited for that, then keep in mind the movie is going to be coming out on November 26th of this year. Then following afterwards, of course, they also discuss about Hoppers, the next Pixar movie that's going to be coming out March 6th of next year. And they've also discussed about some of the other characters. Of course, we are already introduced to Mabel and a few other characters that we have seen, like the bear and the beaver that was about to be eaten. But also, they have discussed about the possible villain of the movie, which is Mayor Jerry, played by John Hamm, as well as a new sidekick of Mabel, in which, and not to mention, of course, yes, they did talk about Tom, the now beloved lizard, which we have seen in the post-credits of Elio, but they did also bring up King George, who's apparently like the king of the beavers, who's going to be played by Bobby Moynihan. So yeah, of course they're going to be, they went into that along with sharing some new images of Hoppers. And then, of course, they've talked about some of the 20th century stuff, in which they gave out a new piece of information in regards to the 6th Ice Age movie. Now, I know for many people out there, the fact that we are getting another Ice Age movie, even after Blue Sky Studios shut down, like, people are pretty much at their boiling point with Ice Age, but don't you worry, Disney is very well aware of that. So much so, in fact, that they have already revealed the title of it is going to be, well, exactly that. It's going to be called Ice Age Boiling Point. And they've also mentioned that instead of coming out on December of 2026, it's actually going to be now released on February of 2027. On top of the fact that they have also revealed that not just Scrat, but Baby Scrat from the Scrat Tales shorts is also going to be a part of the movie as well. And then, of course, they have also talked about what's going to be the next animated Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie, in which it is going to be called Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Last Straw, in which that movie is going to be coming out in theaters? Wait a minute, in theaters? What the fridge? Okay, this is new to me. I thought, honestly, I was ready to say, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be another Disney Plus thing. But wait, they're releasing Diary of a Wimpy Kid in theaters? Holy crap. Okay. That's an unexpected twist. So yeah, apparently The Last Straw is coming in theaters on December 5th. I don't know if this is like a typo, or I don't know if this is like, I don't know if my source on IGN is wrong, but okay, I did not expect that. But then finally, I saved what is possibly the biggest announcement from Destination D23 for last. And that is coming from Walt Disney Animation Studios and what they have in store for 2026. Because we know later in the future, they got the Frozen sequels, but it looks like they're not giving up on original movies. Yes, even with the reception of stuff like Strange World and Wish, that is not going to stop them from doing more original stuff. And that is especially the case with their new movie, in which they call Hexed. And to read you from my source on IGN, the summary of it actually states here, it follows an awkward teenage boy and his type A mom who discovers that what makes him unusual might just be magical powers that will turn their lives and a secret world of magic upside down. Hex will be directed by Josie Trinidad and Jason Hand, and Roy Conley and Juan Pablo Reyes Lancaster Jones will be served as producers, and that is planned to be coming out in the fall of 2026. So most likely in November of 2026. And on top of that, they even revealed this brand new concept art showing this world that the boy and his mom is going to experience. So you could see like how it is, like, I don't know if this is going to look exactly like this, but you could see how it is very stylized. You could see how it is very colorful. So yeah, Disney is going to be developing a brand new original world. And let me just go and state this right now, because I know that this has been controversial, especially apparently Twitter has been going on a frenzy like this. But apparently already, like, this thing was only announced and we only know a few little details about it. But the animation fans on Twitter are already desperate to go and hate it by saying that this is somehow a ripoff of the Owl House. And I just gotta say, that hate is just desperate. Like, honestly, it feels pathetic now to see the lengths that people are going to go to just to desperately try to keep on hating on Disney with every new announcement. Like, it is very much clear that no matter what Disney animation or what Pixar is going to do, they're just desperate to go and hate it. Like, they don't care what it is. They don't care to give it a chance. They just want to go and immediately bash it because that's the only way they know how to go and accumulate likes and views and all that kind of stupid garbage. Especially when the argument of the fact that, oh, this is an Owl House ripoff. That is so stupid because honestly, you could pretty much say that the concept of the Owl House is a ripoff of Harry Potter. Like, the concept of what they're presenting here is not necessarily new. You're just going after it because, oh, it uses magic. That means it's unoriginal. It's honestly freaking ridiculous. And again, it's just so desperate. This is exactly why Twitter users this is why Twitter users in the cartoon community, they're sounding exactly like Snoop Dogg when he was complaining about the same-sex couple in Lightyear. It's honestly freaking ridiculous. And again, it really shows how the Disney hate right now has gone so desperate. And the problem is no longer Disney. It really is the freaking cartoon community. And it shows how this freaking Disney hate is really becoming problematic. And it's really what's ruining the cartoon community right now. So honestly, but then again, let's be honest. How could we take these people seriously when they're still unironically using Twitter? Can we really trust their judgment if they're still using Twitter as their active main social media platform? They're not the kind of people who are meant to take seriously, you know? What the fridge do they know about animation when they have clear poor judgment, especially in terms of how they consume social media? But even with that, but regardless of that, honestly, I'm going to be very curious to see what Hex has in store. And I'm definitely gonna be keeping my eye out on this for when this will be coming out in 2026. And so with that, I know we don't necessarily have a whole lot of time, but now I would like to go and ask you all in the chat wall, what do you all think about all these announcements at Destination D23? And especially, which are the announcements that stand out to you the most? I would love to know what you all think. All right. Let's see what we got here. That's a lot of news from D23, like how we have the news about Joe Swanson as a horse in Zootopia 2. The next Ice Age movie has now gotten a name for the title, and another animated Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie. And we have the next original Disney movie that people are already calling it the Owl House movie for no reason other than Disney is working on it, and how the villains are literally a bunch of Buzz Lightyear clones. Exactly. And I mean, I wouldn't really go and take what animation Twitter is saying seriously. Yeah, they're going to pretend to love and like put Dana Terrance on a high pedestal, but I'm going to say right now, considering the recent behavior that we have seen, the cartoon community, especially those on Twitter, they care about Dana Terrance as much as they care about Disney. So honestly, don't give me any of that crap of like, oh, Dana Terrance is the good guy and Disney's the bad guy. You don't give a shit about either of them, okay? So don't give me any of that garbage. All right, let's see now. I need to say something about Hex I'm excited to talk about. First of all, Hex absolutely sounds promising. Secondly, a friend of mine mentioned this to me, that she's directing the film. Yes, that's right. I know Josie Trinidad. We actually know each other for almost 3 years now. She's one of the reasons why I got to visit Walt Disney Animation Studios. Ooh, nice. I'm just very proud of her, along with Jason Hand as well, in which I talked to also. So yeah, this announcement is a big deal for me. Especially, I mean, if your friends are going to be directing the next big Disney movie, I can tell why you're excited about that. All right, let's see what else we got here. Lots of awesome and exciting announcements we got. The one I'm hyped for the most is seeing the new mayor of Zootopia, voiced by my goat, Patrick Warburton. Do you know he also voiced the horse in Home on the Range? To quote Doofenshmirtz, if I had a nickel every time Patrick Warburton played a horse in a Disney animated film, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. So excited for Zootopia 2, it'll be peak. All right. Destination D23 may be a smaller event than D23 Expo, but it's just as magical. We have so many fantastic announcements, but my favorite ones were the Mando and Grogu updates and the Pixar pipeline. Hex also looks like it's going to be a great movie. I can't wait for it to come out, only for it to flop because the animation fans who demand new movies won't go to see it, thus perpetually the never-ending barrage of Disney and Pixar sequels. Okay, hold on a sec now. Don't say never now. Like, don't immediately act like Twitter and jump into the pessimism. You never know what this will be in store, and you never know if things will probably change. So before we jump into those conclusions, let's see how the movie itself is, first of all. Let's see now. In regards to Ice Age Boiling Point, I'm still cautious about it, but at least Scrat is coming back, and I do hope it's at least slightly better than both Continental Drift and Collision Course. Also, AniMat, I think Ice Age is becoming the new Land Before Time in terms of it being a prehistoric animated film franchise that would get a lot of sequels. What do you think? Honestly, I think it'll depend on what happens after Ice Age Boiling Point, because if Disney is going to be making more, then yeah, you might actually have a point. Maybe this is going to be the next Land Before Time where the sequels are just never gonna end. Let's see. I think I only have time for one more comment, so let's go and make this count. Let's see. Actually, there's one that's I literally just read that. What the fridge am I thinking? Anyways, I will say there are some great announcements. For me, I'm the most excited for the castle going back to its original color scheme and Hex, which has a lot of potential. Also, in the case of Ice Age 6, I actually called it that the movie was going to get delayed from December, and it is now in February. Oh, well, what do you know? You managed to get those little brownie points right there. And with that said, that should conclude this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Man, it was a wild ride, but let me just say it's great to be back. And we'll see if maybe next week there will be another episode, depending if we can get a good momentum of animation news to go and talk about like we got right over here. I mean, we will have to wait and see, but if it's going to be periodically where it's slow, fast, I don't know. Maybe AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast is going to be a bi-weekly show. But anyways, thank you all so much for joining me on this. And I just want to say, if you guys want to go and check out more of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast and not miss out on a new episode, don't forget to go and subscribe to the don't forget to go and subscribe to my Twitch channel, AniMat Live, or to the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast YouTube channel. Also, if you are listening to me on whatever podcast service you're listening to, whether it be on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, and many others, then don't forget to go and give me a follow right there so you don't go and miss the audio versions of this podcast. So with all that said and done, I would like to say thank you so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching, everyone. And until next time, see you later, dudes.